Hello there everybody, welcome to Sitting Down with Soul Writer with the Total Epic Echo in the new space. My name is Jenna O'Malley. I am your soul writer, author of sci-fi fantasy with dashes of romance and nerdy references, and it is Vlogmas time. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of a check-in, see how things are going, and I might be bragging about my top three favorite, or order of whatever. We're looking at the Jack Frost movies today. Let's do it.
Up on the housetop, reindeer paws, out jumps good old Santa Claus, down through the chimney with lots of toys, all for the little ones' Christmas joy.
Welcome back everybody to another episode of the Vlogmas 2023 edition of Sitting Down with Soul Writer. I am Jenna O'Malley, your soul writer, author of sci-fi fantasy with dashes of romance and nerdy references, alongside the raw stories my characters weave throughout time and space. I help other soul bards find their phoenix mode and get back to creating as they love and want to and desire to, in their pace, in their time, in their stride, because wizard mode is a thing. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a little bit of a sneak peek. You see some shelves and some storage going on at the wall behind me. But I thought today would be a good day to give you a sneak peek of what the streaming space is looking like so far, before we get nerding out about my favorite Christmas character of all time, Jack Frost. Yes, if you think I swoon over Carlos from Melissa Power Play Press's channel, oh boy, heads up. So let's go ahead and take a look at the space right quick. Mind you, I am far from done getting everything done, but as you can tell, I have some decorations going on. The crystal collection made it safe and sound. I will be hanging some more things this week. We got the new L desk that I ordered as a startup present to myself, built and in place. My mother-in-law is being super epic gracious enough to lend me another table, because this folding table is not going to contain all of my plans for 2024 at all. We can also tell that I'm starting to sort through some wall hanging type things. And since my thrifted bookcases fell through, Cody found an alternative. We went to Ollie's, which is a local bargain outlet here in the area, and we found some cool little shelves. They're plain white, and we found some like D20 shaped shelves that are plain white. So I'm going to go ahead and paint all of those. I'm going to go ahead and paint all of those this pretty color. Now, this is an old shelf. This was hanging up like in my childhood bedroom. And as you can see, I did not have such a good time getting the spray can started with the paint, but it's this pretty plum color that is eventually going to be put on the other shelves as well. I will probably have to go in and seal some of those cracks and things that I didn't realize were in this really old shelf, prime it over, and then paint it again. My father made that for me, so I don't want to let it go, is why it's not being let go. But let's go ahead and do a quick run through then, since you got a glimpse of the streaming space before the live stream comes out later this week. Yes, hint hint, we're back to sprinting on my channel this coming Friday, December the 15th. Is it the 15th? Whatever this coming Friday is. I'll be back to my normal sprinting schedule. So between now and then, we got to go over finishing building the stream, because I started that at the end of NaNoWriMo. I'll do the remainder of the build out for that probably the day before we go ahead and get to live streaming proper. I also have another announcement. My dear friend Kay Parquette and I are doing a podcast. So I meant to send this out last month, but things with the move got away from, and we are catching up on. So listening to the voices in our heads is going to have a new episode coming out here before Christmas. And, well, speaking of Christmas, yes, we have delayed Jack Frost enough. Let's get nerdy. Welcome on back again. You guys are probably going to get used to seeing this space in the streaming space, and there will be way more added to the wall over time, but we'll get there when we get there. In the meantime, Jack Frost. Which ones are my favorite? There are three that I often talk about in comparison to one another, and that would be 1, the original Rankin Bass version, 2, Rise of the Guardians Jack Frost, and then of course 3, the live action Jack Frost movies from the 90s. So I kind of ranked them in that order for that reason, from my most favorite 1 to my least favorite 3. And I'm going to go ahead and talk about them in reverse order. So number 3, the live action Jack Frost movies, I think capitalized on a story that became age as old as time for many of us born, I would say 1970 and later, when divorce and things of that nature started to grow in popularity. I know that, like, when Cody and I first got married 10 plus years ago, 1 in 5 divorces failed. Now, or I'm sorry, 1 in 5 marriages failed. Now they're saying 1 in 2, half of them? What? So, yeah, the fact that the Jack Frost live action movies kind of capitalized on that a little bit was appropriate. My husband comes from a home where he probably related to some of the characters in, but I grew up in a situation where my dad was stepdad to 3 older brothers and in a blended family. So I kind of related, kind of not. And for me, seeing my dad be the epic stepdad he was even, you know, it kind of, I couldn't relate to it as much as many others could. On the other hand, Rise of the Guardians. Oh boy, here's where we're going to get super, super, super duper nerdy. And then double it with the swooning for number 1. So, Rise of the Guardians, Jack Frost, I think is ingenious. Honestly. Like, it feels Tim Burton-y. It could fit in a Nightmare Before Christmassy type world, especially given the enemy pitch black being, you know, just everyone's night terror amplified. And it addresses something around the holidays that I think gets lost, and no offense to my hyper-Christian friends, but a lot about the holiday season that is not Christian gets lost in the Christian overlay of what Christmas has become. Don't forget, a lot of Christian Christmas themes were actually pagan and were stolen from other cultures, so that way people would more willingly assimilate into Christianity historically. Please do not argue with me in the comments. If you would like to believe Christian history, you're welcome. I'm looking at documented world history by comparison and nothing more, okay? We're looking at historical events that are recorded across multiple cultures and leaving it at that. So I think a lot of what the Rise of the Guardians movies brings back is that what was lost. Yes, birth of something new, birth of something joyous can be a baby. But for those of us who cannot have children, that's not always a joyous event to relate to, right? For 1. For 2, we also have this situation where you have a loss of childhood innocence being refound, being rediscovered. And I greatly appreciate that being the center, literally, the person's center, their soul, them rebirthing the self being at the forefront. I think that is a crucial story to take away from at the holiday season because, you know, New Year is right after. And therefore, that kind of takes us directly into numero uno. So with Rankin Bass's Jack Frost, I love it because, well, the story is just heartbreaking of he wants the girl, but he doesn't get the girl. And it's kind of Little Mermaid-esque in the whole that Jack Frost tries to give up his immortality, or rather his fins, I guess you could say by comparison, to be with a girl who would rather be with somebody else, unfortunately. And of course, Rankin Bass are just really good at their style of capturing what's considered kind of ancient tales in a way that is memorable and very, of course, family friendly. Whereas what became the definition of family friendly among the Rise of the Guardians Jack Frost and the live action Jack Frost had obviously changed since the original Rankin Bass version, which is totally okay. It goes into that whole thing of art is starting to imitate life, which is starting to imitate art, which is starting to imitate life by comparison, to be fair. And that is art's purpose. 'Tis true. That is indeed art's purpose, no matter what form it comes in. So I think also it's probably, I just grew up watching the Rankin Bass one the longest. That's probably why I kind of have that nostalgia bias toward it personally as well. I guess I did grow up kind of watching the live action Jack Frost version, but I didn't have the Rise of the Guardians one until much later. Be it as it may. I will say one thing about the Rise of the Guardians version of Jack Frost, and I will leave it at this. Santa. Favorite depiction of Santa. Right there. They went with like this almost mobster tattooed level Santa, and it's like, oh my goodness, it kind of makes sense. With all the elves running around causing the chaos, that mentality makes sense a little bit, doesn't it? So I am very, very, very thrilled to be able to enjoy those movies every year. And I'm quite interested to see how new people take new twists on those movies. Because I know there are several other versions I didn't mention of the Jack Frost lore being played upon in other versions. And either I haven't seen them or I'm not into, you know, scary movies at Christmas personally. That's not me. Other things coming up. Other things coming up a lot. I am back to editing, and I have open availability for editing and for coaching in 2024 still. So if you want to go ahead and check out the description box and my whatnots for my website to look into my editing and coaching, please don't hesitate to reach out. I am also gearing up to do #anime taught me. So this is a video series that I'm doing in collaboration with a couple of other people here on AuthorTube, where we're talking about what we as creators, as writers, as people who make things, what did we learn from different types of anime? If you want to join us, we are still looking for people to go ahead and do so. I can put the form in the description box as well for that, or the link to rather, if you're interested in joining us. For example, I'm going to be doing a video on #anime taught me, about what it taught me about writing fantasy versus what it taught me about writing romance versus what it taught me about writing friendships versus, you know, there's so many different things that you can learn about storytelling by watching different anime. So I wanted to carry that over into the space since so many of us here on AuthorTube are anime fans. And if you, no matter what size AuthorTube channel you are, want to go ahead and join in and maybe add in your own suggestion, there's a ton of options and genres already on the list. We do have a couple of people joining us from the horror sci-fi thriller realm as well. I also do encourage you to keep an eye on the Myrna Annals tab on my website because, well, we are getting ready to do a new Kickstarter here in the spring. And that Kickstarter will encompass getting all 5 books out in ebook and paperback, kind of mimicking what books 1 and 2 went through this year. They'll start out on Amazon and then eventually move into a wide market. We're going to also get involved with some of the side quests. What are those? You'll find out more in a future video. So thank you all for being here. I cannot wait to see what 2024 has to bring. Keep an eye for some sort of live stream we might be hanging out and doing later on in the month together to get your social media and maybe some of your writing production schedule planned as well. Above all, please take care of yourself. This is a very busy time of year and I know you're worth it. Please give yourself the Christmas or holiday present as appropriate to your culture of allowing yourself to believe the same. See you in the next one. Happy Vlogmas!